Okay, family, we're back. Hunting the signs for the escape of the bride in the Mazzaroth. This is about take 5. This has been very difficult. It's taken a lot. And I've had a lot of challenges and problems. So that always tells me that we're on the precipice of something big. And so I pray that this gets out without any problems this time. We have a lot to share, so we're going to break this down into multiple videos. Here we are in Stellarium, and we're going to show you what I discovered in the last, it's been about a week. It's taken years and years and years to get to this point. I have been studying mazzaroth for 25 to 30 years, and to me this is the culmination of everything, and it's very exciting, but it's very heavy, and so I'm going to do my best to make this quick and light, so that it's not so much information, and it's easy to decipher what we're seeing. So the first thing that we're doing is we're looking at another wedding sign. If you go back to my earlier videos of the wedding signs, then you'll see that this is a high watch period for me, because the asteroid Metis equals wedding. And if you've done any research into the Vestal Virgins, then you'll realize that Vesta is a representation of the virgins, and I've been tracking Vesta for years and years and years because it always seems to be involved with these wedding scenes that I have been tracking for years. And so what we're looking at here is Vesta in the hand of Orion, and Metis in the hand of Auriga. And we can watch the moon as it transitions. Let's go closer in, and you can see how Metis literally becomes one with the moon. And this is all Pacific time. As a Mazzaroth watchman, I would be called to watch from where I am and not from a different country or Jerusalem. A lot of the Mazzaroth people doing this work, they automatically put their location as Jerusalem, but that's not the way it worked in ancient times. There was Mazzaroth watchmen all over, and they would send messages from Egypt or wherever they were on the planet to get back to the rest of the priests in order to decipher what they were seeing. And it was with all of these messages from the watchmen that they were able to put together the precision of time, because they didn't have Stellarium or these star map codes input into computer algorithms that allow us to just pull this stuff up live time. So they had to actually do very, very intense mathematical and also have men out in the field who were looking for these signs. And so as a watchman, I'm here in the location I am, and I'm going to report everything from Pacific time, where I'm located on the Oregon coast. So here we see Metis and the moon at 8 a.m. on the 26th Pacific time, coming into conjunction. And let's go ahead and back out when we see that the moon and Metis and Vesta are all in the Silver Gate. And for those of you who do not know what that is, you can go look at my videos on the wedding. We're going to try to make this quick, and you can go back and put together all the pieces from all the videos that I have. I'm also going to upload an old video I did years ago from my Kaddish Culture channel, and that will be on the portals and the gates, and that way you can gain a deeper understanding of how these portals and gates work. These gates are associated with the Milky Way and specific signs. So what we're looking at here is the moon and Vesta, and a full basic conjunction of Metis and the moon. And what that is speaking is wedding language. If you are studied in Mazzaroth, then you know how important this spot is with Auriga and Orion and Gemini. And Gemini in the ancient times was seen as the bride and the bridegroom. And so we see Vesta right in the right position, as if she's the bridesmaids. And so we're right here at a very strong wedding sign on December the 26th. We'll pull that up again so you see it's December the 26th. And then I'm showing 8 a.m. Pacific time as this conjunction. Now we're going to go ahead and back out. And what we're going to do is we're going to show you the other side. And we're going to show you that the sun is still in the Golden Gate. So this is very strong language for escape of the bride because of these gates. Now what we're going to do is we're going to explore in deeper hunting for these signs that we're seeing in the Mazzaroth. So here we are on Wikipedia. We're going to scroll up. You can see this is Wikipedia for the moon rabbit. And we can see here on this image, you can see that there's a rabbit and a pestle. And you can read about all of these ancient myths and cultural stories about the moon. And what really stood out to me is when I went through all this, I found this Asian folklore, and it says tale 316 relates that a monkey, an otter, a jackal, and a rabbit resolved to practice charity on the day of the full moon. And one of the other things that I noticed is all the artwork that they show with this rabbit and this moon are always the full moon. And another discovery that I made that helped me put together a lot with all of these, it was actually like a giant light bulb going off in the head. I was watching this decode on the new movie Leave the World Behind, and this brother said some stuff that immediately was like getting hit with a ton of bricks. It was all the answers that I needed to put together the last bit that I had been working on with the iPet Goat 2 Lily scene. And so I want to show you this little part, and you can go back and watch his full Illuminati decode on the Leave the World Behind, but we're just going to show you this real quick clip, and you can make of it what you will, but it did help me to decode this, and I want you to hear it as part of the message.
Once you see what's happening. Now the deer play a big role in the movie. We see the deer all over the place, and Ani, I believe, or Tommy, I forget who, they pointed out that only the women see the deer. Isn't that crazy? But I don't know, I thought that was kind of wild because Julia Roberts tells her husband that she sees deer, and her husband Clay, so it's Clay and Amanda, a man is made out of clay, so I'm sure there might be some biblical stuff there. But Clay says seeing a deer is a good omen according to Mesoamerican mythology. But if you actually Google or look into it, the deer in Mesoamerican mythology is associated with chaos, immortality, and disease. So it's not a good omen. And here's Aztecs for kids. I mean, these kids' websites are more documented than the parents' website. Here's a deer being stabbed. That looks pretty wild, right? Here's the deer is associated with the sun, and here's the bunny associated with the moon.
Okay, so we're going to stop really quick right here. This was that aha moment for me, because I already knew that the rabbit was associated with the moon. I just did not know that the deer was associated with the sun. And when I saw at this point in the movie, I immediately saw the scene in iPet Goat 2, and it put it all together for me. So I want you to hear the rest of what he says, and then we're going to go to that iPet Goat 2 scene, and we're going to do a decode.
And this is how I was able to predict that this year would be the year of the aliens and UFO, because the moon has a bunny on it. The moon is associated with bunnies. Bugs Bunny was the first person abducted by a UFO. In the movie Gremlins, you can see Bugs Bunny next to E.T. The Bugs Bunny connection to the aliens is it's all over the place. Watch the movie Knowing, they go with the bunnies. The bunny is associated with the moon, so this being the year of the rabbit, the year of the bunny, was like gonna be alien stuff, and that was the whole year. UFO, psyops, it's all fake. All there. You got UNESCO pushing the aliens in Mexico, all fake. That's all here to set up for the environmental situation. It's going to be an environmental thing with UNESCO. And you'll see how that is also connected to this film through the clock, through the grandfather clock. Here.
Okay, so you heard what the brother said. That's Donut Factory, and that's an Illuminati decode. We are going to go to this scene first, and y'all know about this, but we're going to put it in here because it is all part of this whole search for the escape of the bride. Okay, so you all know that on the girl's shoulder, you see the white rabbit, and also from Matrix Resurrections, the other girl comes to Neo and shows her the white rabbit on her shoulder. And the thing that stood out to me on that one is it had a star on it. And that put me back into hunting for more star language in this scene. So here we are on the iPet Goat 2 Lily scene. And we're going to play this real quick until the point of the escape. Okay, so what you can see here is that we have the exit door lit up. We have the rabbit lit up. We have this area over here is where the deer and Scorpio and the position of Scorpio, Ophiuchus, and Libra, and we'll be decoding that in a separate video. But what we want to do is show you that there is a code language here that is tied to the Mazzaroth. Again, we're going to break this down into multiple parts. I'm going to break down and show you how each of these heads or bodies are actually showing you constellations and months. We're going to show you how Lily in the center is the bride. We're going to show you how the image that she's standing on is a wedding ring eclipse. and we're going to go into breaking down how all of these things are messages, not only to us who are watching for this, but it is also a message to the fallen ones. This is called ritual magic, and what we're seeing here is the enemy is required in ritual magic to display the truth hidden within code. And the enemy uses this kind of language to speak to those who know how to decode the language. And in most cases, this is Illuminati stuff, people who are up at the top, who are working with demonic forces to let everybody else know the time that we're in. And the enemy knows when the battle is going to happen. The enemy knows, and we're going to leave 100% sure now that the enemy knows exactly what's going down and is required to display within masquerade. And so we are breaking the strongholds and discovering the messages to bring to the body of Messiah. So I pray that this is strong language for you to be able to see that we are getting the signs of the escape of the bride. So what we're going to look at here is knowing that the rabbit equals the moon and the deer equals the sun. I was able to put together the final pieces because the exit is lit when the deer and the rabbit are lit. We also see Lily, who is in a wedding dress. She's lit. And so what I found, let's go back a little bit just so we have a clear picture. Okay, so we're going to stop here. What I found is that on this section here, if you go to my community page, I broke it all down in a static form. That way you can see what my discovery was. But I found that there are 7 leaves. And that immediately, as a Mazzaroth watchman, it made me think, oh, Pleiades. The 7 stars, the 7 sisters, the 7 virgins. So I was like, okay, let's see if there's more star language here. And I already knew that the rabbit was the moon. And so I associated this sign here with Taurus and Pleiades, and that the moon was somewhere before or after Taurus in the Mazzaroth. And then I found that these marks on the wall, there's 1 mark, 2 mark, 3 marks, 4 marks, and then that there's 5 marks on the wall. And then if you look at this sign that's up here next to the deer, it looks just like a scorpion's tail. I mean, it's a perfect scorpion tail. And so I knew this to be Scorpio, but I could not put together this deer sign. I was looking for a lot of different signs, and I've seen a lot of video breakdown, and a lot of them were great and had a lot of great information, but it didn't answer the question that I needed. And because it looked like there's fire, because there's fire coming off this deer. And as soon as I I saw that Leave the World Behind video of the deer equating to the sun, it all made perfect sense, because if we see this as the sun past Scorpio and the moon, forgive me, family, if we see this as the moon here, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 constellations plus Scorpio between the sun and the moon, we also have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these heads between the rabbit and the deer. And so I went hunting in the Mazzaroth to see if I could discover what I was seeing here in this clip. And what I discovered was pretty amazing. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to talk about the scorpion's tail. And the scorpion's tail is essentially directly in the middle of the Golden Gate. And we see here on the 26th, at the same time that Metis and the moon align, we see the sun in just past the center of the Golden Gate. So if we look back at this image, we can see that the sun is just past the scorpion's tail. And then also this mark that's here on this wall, that equates to this ancient sign of Scorpio, and then also it has to do with Ophiuchus, because Scorpio in the ancient times was connected to Libra. They were always shown in most of the ancient pictures. They were shown together. You can even see here in Stellarium, you have the crab's claw attached to the scales. And then you also, we don't show it in Stellarium, but in ancient Mazzaroth depictions, you see the leg of Ophiuchus coming down into this area, and that was his leg was being stung by the scorpion, and this leg, his head is crushing the head. So the depiction here in Stellarium doesn't really do justice to what the ancient depictions were, because this story was told better by being able to see Ophiuchus with its foot right next to the stinger, and then his other leg crushing the scorpion while he's holding back the snake. And this is very, very strong star language, but the sun is just past the scorpion's tail. And then we're going to do this count. So we saw that these three signs essentially are right here. So you have the scorpion's tail, you have Ophiuchus leg, which is also associated with Libra, because they're all tied. So we have Libra, Ophiuchus, and Scorpio, with the sun just past. And then we have four more constellations to look at. So we're going to go and we're going to look at 1, 2, 3, and then we have 4 constellations, and boom, the moon is right there between the Pleiades and Gemini. And so if we look at this scene, we have the Pleiades, and this would be Gemini, and we have the moon directly in between these two, and the sun just past Scorpio. And we also see beneath Lily, we see the wedding ring eclipse. And we know that this sign, let's go ahead and watch it. Excuse me. I'm having to do this with my video camera because I just don't have the funds available to get the right microphone to do this job. And I have all the software now, and I'm learning how to use that software, but I don't have the microphone yet, so I'm still having to do it this way for a short period of time. But let's go ahead and watch this scene because it transitions into the next scene, and we're going to be doing a breakdown of that later, but we're just going to watch this really quick. Okay, there's our exit. And okay, so now what we see is the apple drop. And most of you know that the apple drop is a symbol for New York and Times Square when they used to drop the apple because it was the Big Apple, and at midnight they would drop the apple. And so we see that this sign happens right before the apple drops. And here we are on December the 26th, right before the apple drops.